All right, it's the Hockey Hub. Another day, another show. Kasey, we have 2 preseason games in the books for the Boston Bruins. I did not see that one coming. The comeback win, 5-4 in OT after being down 4-1. We're going to discuss that. We've got sound from the guys. Adam Pellerin was on set. We're going to deep dive into the roster a little bit, talk about some of the prospects coming up. Obviously, camp inviting a lot of people, so we're seeing a lot of people. They're going to make cuts at some point, obviously, to make a roster, but we'll talk about, Michael DiPietro, who could be up, who could be down, all that kind of stuff. Get some sound. You and I have a different opinion about how the game ended with Nikita Zadorov just skating off the ice.
Yes.
We'll get into that, but did you see that one coming, that comeback win? Because I did not, but it said a lot about the team.
Yeah, I did not see it happening, and that's for sure, because you and I have talked about it here, that kind of some of the things that translated poorly for them last season was the inability to get back in games in the third period or give up leads in the third period. So after the Rangers completely owning the second period between shots on goal and everything else, and just starting to get a little too, let's say, I don't want to say cocky, but getting very confident in the fact that the game was theirs. I didn't expect the comeback win whatsoever, but I love to see the script flip in favor for the Bruins, because some of the identity things that they want to establish, I feel like we can kind of pull some of that from the third period and the overtime win for them. Yeah,
and like last season, it was like the opposite. That's how things would go for them. And then what I want to focus on for sure, too, is they didn't really, last season, they weren't able, like the man advantage was important, but they weren't able to, when they had the goalie pull, just like get anything done. And they did yesterday. And yes, it's not against a complete Rangers roster and vice versa, but that was good to see. I was like, I felt like just the way they were skating and structures and the way they were moving the puck, they had control, they had possession. I was like, okay, this is good. Even if they don't score it, this is what you want to see. Whereas like in last year, it was so sloppy all the time.
Yeah, and to your point, actually, because even though it's just preseason, you have a Rangers team that had their projected top pairing out there in Adam Fox and Garvioff. Sorry, I keep saying it right. Garvikov. And to know that they are, going to be expected to be their shutdown pairing throughout the rest of the season and stuff, like it's a good test for the Bruins to have to go against nice and early. And then you've got a penalty kill that's now being wielded by Joe Sacco, and a lot of credibility there because they're trying to reestablish their defensive identity. So I think it was a really good test. But to your point, I mean, preseason or not, they were able to have better movement. They were able to kind of get some things going, and then to be stout on both ends. Matěj Eyssimont picking up that shorthanded goal, being able to capitalize when it comes to penalty kill opportunities and shorties. Like, that's another way that this league has kind of changed in a sense where you have to be dominant on the power play as well as the penalty kill, and you can cash in on the penalty kill just as much.
I want to pause for a second. So your mom's in town?
Yes.
Did you watch the game with her? What was she doing?
Oh my gosh, she's a freak. So she stands, which I do too, so I guess I get it from her. But she's standing watching everything, and then she'll turn around and ask me questions. So like she'll turn around and be like, number 81, what's he supposed to be doing? And I'll sit there and like tell her what I'm seeing and thinking. But she was getting very excited and very, very hyped for everything that was going on. So what I love is that my mom is so committed to whatever it is that I'm doing, and like seeing the passion for hockey and how that's just kind of developed over the years. Like, she's all in. So she was just excited to like root on the Bruins last night.
Very cute. We did a pregame, and then we did not have intermissions or postgame. So we did pregame here at Nesson, and then I went over to my friend's house who doesn't really watch hockey, and he made dinner and we were watching it, but like same thing. I had to like explain everything to him. Yeah, he was like, literally, he goes, they're doing really good in the third quarter. I was like, no, it's a period. It's not a quarter.
You're so close, but
he's like, this third quarter's been great. And I was like, no.
Yeah. The favorite thing,
cute, though.
It is so cute. And it's funny too, because like, of course, like it takes extreme athleticism to play hockey.
Yeah.
So some of the times where things were happening, like Zadorov had a bad check, which ends up sending him to the penalty box. My mom's like, he didn't do anything. I was like, he did.
Yeah.
He did do something.
Yeah, no.
I appreciate your loyalty, Mom. But
and same with Ryan. He was like, there's like so many scrums around the net. Like, it's normal, people get in each other's face. He's like, oh my God, they're pushing each other. And I was like, that's
so normal.
Happens all the time. It was so fun. That's why I wanted to ask you. I was like, was it fun to watch the game from a non-fan's perspective? Because he was just freaking out about everything. He was like, this is crazy. And I'm like, this is hockey.
It brought extra excitement to preseason as well.
Yeah.
Because like I said, a bit of a deflating second period there. So like sometimes I'll start like doing other things at the same time, but I was still so invested because she was still so invested. So it was super fun.
Yeah, we were eating dinner. We were eating bolognese while we were watching hockey, but it was great. It was great. It was great. We have so many places to take this. I'm just trying to see where I want to start. Maybe we'll start by hearing from Marco Sturm, the head coach, and then we can talk about that.
tough second period for the group, but then showing the resiliency in the third period and then winning in overtime. What does it say about him?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we addressed it after a second. That's not us, right? That's not the Boston Bruins. That's not how we want to play. That's how we not want to represent, our logo on that jersey, and but good for them by responding and end up winning the game too.
First look at Mikey Eyssimont in game action. Obviously, very productive offensively tonight. But what did you see from him overall?
No, I mean, I had Mikey before, so no surprise for me. But it's nice to see him get rewarded. He works extremely hard. Took him a while. I think that was his first game too, and I thought probably the second half of the game he kind of got his legs under his belt, and he scored some very nice goals in the third period.
Do you think his tool set has been used to his optimum throughout his career? Or is this his first best chance?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, he's a kid. He's very hard on himself. I think sometimes that hurts him actually a little bit, and I also think slowly he kind of gets it. He's been around to a few teams now, different coaches, so he kind of knows what to bring every night. And what I like about him, he doesn't complain. He accepts his roles, whatever it is, and he's trying the best he can. So, guys like him, you always root for because he cares, and because he has not just grit, he also has the skill, and that's something. I think he worked on in the past.
He gets
too.
the shorty on the PK tonight. What's his optimum use for you think? Is he bottom six PK?
Yeah, no, he's probably definitely bottom six, but we need some killers, and that's why I was not because we had nobody here today, but I think we're gonna try to use him on the power play on the PK, but I also know if the big guys aren't going, he's an easy guy to put up and get a little bit more energy out of a different line.
What can you say about the simplicity and transition of Fraser Mitten's game, both sides of the ice, not trying to do too much, whereas a lot of young guys might try to do too much?
No, he was better today. I talked to him after or yesterday about his first game. And he said he was too excited probably too. He made some mistakes, and today he was very calm. He was just reliable. I think both, like you said, both sides of the puck, and I liked him. Anytime I'm looking for a player on the end, I think it's a good sign, and I think he was one of them.
Similarly, did you get that feeling from most of the youngsters you had today, the ones who played both games, kind of calm their game down a little bit as it went on after a little bit of a runaway in the second period?
Yes and no. I mean, we came in here late, so I give them a lot of credit. It was a short turnover, and we played the first period actually okay. Second was not acceptable, and then in the third, it got better. So I don't know how to answer that question, but they definitely felt more comfortable. That's for sure.
Okay, lots to take away here, but I'm going to kind of let you go because you want to talk about Mikey a little bit and how Coach talked about him for quite a bit. Hard worker, hard on himself. He's not used to him, but he's obviously has experience with him. So he wasn't surprised with his effort and his goals and all that. So you pop off on him. Yeah.
Well, what we love the most is anything that we see in terms of analysis on a player, scouting reports on a player, and then it translates. And he mentioned it right there. He was kind of working on it all night, and that's why as soon as the goal happened, it was not a surprise. We're the effort has finally cashed in for Mikey Eyssimont, and I feel like that's been his DNA across any team that he has played for. And as everyone has heard at nauseum, I had a chance to cover him in Tampa Bay, and having that kind of motor and having that kind of accountability, and a player knowing that no matter what the score is, no matter what period is, he's going to find a way to find the back of the net, or at least set up his teammate to do so. That's something that we need, that contributes to seeing a completely different third period than we've seen out of the Bruins in quite some time. Yes, still taking preseason into accountability. So I love it because I feel like Mikey very much just fits the bill of where this team is starting to try to go, and he has the capability to be anything that this team needs him to be. Because back to talking funny about Mom for a second, somebody made a comment about like his mitts or whatever. And my mom was asking me like, what is that? So I was jokingly telling her like what silky mitts are, but like he has a scoring touch to him. So even though he's a pest and that's what we like to identify him as the like most, he has the capability to get creative with scoring, and he has the ability to kind of break these stalemates that take place. And Mikey's a guy that can be a bottom six role, but I saw him jump up to the second line a number of times in Tampa Bay to kind of be that driving force, get into the offensive zone when it becomes a very difficult task for a team in totality, and he can set up his line mates just as well as he can score as well. So I feel like he has a lot to offer.
I mean, if that scouting report, what you're saying is true, and what we saw yesterday as a small sample size, and I'm obviously very excited about that. I'm going to be careful with putting these two people in the same sentence, but Jack Edwards used to always talk about Brad Marchand and say he's a dog on a bone, and how Marshy would just always hunt the puck down. He was smaller, but he was like relentless.
Played bigger than himself.
Yeah, played bigger than himself, physical, relentless, and that's why I said I got to be careful putting those two in the same sentence, because I have like an affinity and appreciation, and you guys saw it in the postseason and throughout his career what Brad Marchand is. Mm-hmm. But if we can have another player, because we lost that just like will not quit, where you think you're like, he's not going to get to the puck, he gets to the puck. He's not going to outmuscle this guy. He outmuscles that guy. He's not going to be stronger along the boards. He's stronger along the boards. He's not going to be good, or like he's not going to get this behind the net. He's going to get it behind the net. So if Mikey can actually do that, that is a need that the Bruins have for sure.
Oh, big time. And I mean, like coming into the offseason when the acquisition took place with Matěj Eyssimont, Sturm talked about the fact that like they need a driver for the forecheck to be much better than it was last season as well. And you just saw some moments where like they were getting outplayed on the boards, their forecheck didn't exist, and then Mikey kept trying to kind of create that momentum, create that capability. So being able to see that again, there were some key pieces in for the Rangers last night. I mean, they opened up with Shesterkin between the pipes. That's not an easy task. So it's just making sure that they can have a better consistency across 3 periods, and I feel like he's really good in that sense. And like something else to touch on too, Marco Sturm, day one of training camp, when I got to shadow you, he talked about the fact that he's going to be looking for chemistry between duos. So when he sees a tandem between two guys where he can rely on consistency in terms of either generating or producing offense, getting something going, he's going to probably kind of lean towards that. So if we see more of this out of Eyssimont and they need a proper driver on that second line to create secondary scoring, then there's opportunities that we can see along the way. But I don't think we're going to see anything kind of establish itself consistent-wise. I think we're going to see him blend up the line quite a bit, and I think Mikey's going to be a big factor in that.
Not to put you on the spot, but I don't remember. Was the shorty goal number 2 for the Bruins? I think it was, right? There was 4-1, and then
goal
his shorty. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then number 2. So that, like again, a Brad Marchand reference, he was really good at shorties and cleaning up messes and stealing pucks and going. But that's like a game, that was a momentum-changing moment for the Boston Bruins, and that's what we need too when you're talking about chemistry and duos. But you need someone who can, and not just one, you want, a good save can do that. Yeah. A defenseman can do that. But you want someone who's able to take they're down by 3, and okay, you're still down by 2, but it's a shorthanded goal. You can tell just with his effort and his energy, you can tell that he wasn't done. He's like, we're not done. We're not done here. And then that changes thing, and that you feed off of that on the fan. Like I fed off of that as a fan in between bites of bolognese as I was explaining what hockey was to somebody, which is crazy. I honestly want to do a whole podcast
I was gonna say,
on yesterday.
we have to have a real conversation of what that sounds like.
It was so funny. It was so funny. He was like, oh my God, they're like messing around in front of the net. I'm like, this happens all the time, dude.
There's
Anyway,
a lot more happening there.
Yeah, there's a lot more. He's like, this is wild.
Yes.
What was I saying? Anyway, momentum changing. I felt it as a fan. It was great. So I want to see more of him. I'm sure we are going to see more of him. Yeah. We got to keep moving on. Are you cool?
Yep,
you done?
ready to go.
One more thing to say? Are you good on Eyssimont? Anything?
The hits. He had one big hit in the first period, and immediately you saw Twitter go off, because it's just you talk about something and then you see it. Matěj Eyssimont fears no man, absolutely no man. And we'll get to it later in the show, but I mean, when they take on the Flyers this week, and the Flyers will try to have more of a physical identity, that's for sure. And Mikey's a guy who can make that a very, very no-nonsense game versus the Flyers, if he's in the lineup, that is. So. Okay, well, I'm excited to see it. Why don't we hear from him post-game, actually, since we're talking about him, and we'll be back after that.
Michael, what did you think about the fight, the team tonight to come back?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big moment for a lot of us. Preseason chances and stuff. So a lot of guys in here. It means a lot to get the win. Obviously, playing at Madison Square Garden, stuff like that. It's a big moment for a lot of guys here, and the guys showed it. They fought.
What allowed your line to sort of turn up the heat on the forecheck?
I thought we were doing well all night on the forecheck. Second was a little stagnant, and we just try to emulate what the Rangers were doing. They were kind of had us on our heels, so we try to do it to them.
What do you think your performance tonight tells Bruins fans of what they might be able to expect from you throughout the season?
Well, it's preseason. You know, hopefully it just shows that we fight till the end and see games all the way through. You know, we have to learn from our losses, and hopefully we can learn from, you know, periods even that we don't play too well in, and that's what we did with the second period. We fixed a lot of things, and that's the sign of a mature team.
How important was it for you playing with Fraser, playing with some of these younger guys, to step up, especially after the second period, and really show them you don't give up even no matter what the situation is?
Yeah, like I said, this is a big moment for a lot of guys, you know, especially like Mintz and Lysell. They worked their butts off tonight, and they deserved to win, and they were, you know, obviously massive parts of that. So I'm really happy for them.
And just what can you say about what Korpisalo did as well in that second period?
Yeah, I mean, you know, first game I played with him, but he's well known around the league as being an unbelievable goalie. So he's just been fun to watch in practice. You know, I don't watch goalies too closely. Every once in a while, one shows up where you really notice how good they are, and he's absolutely that.
A lot goes into the whole free agency thing and picking what team you want to be with. When you picked Boston, what were you thinking in terms of opportunity and all that?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm going. I was going for the most is opportunity, going to a place where my wings aren't clipped and where I can kind of thrive, and I'm not just trying to tread water. So you know, this seemed like a place that has that, and I'm just looking to make the most of it. This is where my heart was going into free agency signing day, and luckily enough, we had a conversation that day, and their heart was there too. So I'm thrilled.
All right, Matěj Eyssimont, we already talked a lot about him, so I think we're going to pivot. I want to talk Nikita Zadorov, but you want to give a shout out to Casey Mittelstadt a little bit and what you noticed from him.
Yeah,
right?
2 assists on the night, but we know that he has a lot of weight on his shoulders going into this season. I will say that I feel like a positive we saw is like Mittelstadt's known for creating passing lanes and kind of being able to eat up the middle of the ice and find opportunities, and I feel like with the right guy flanking him, those opportunities can happen, and you saw a good tandem and push and pull between him and Blumel. I mean, Blumel closed the night with 5 shots on goal. And you saw a lot of relentless effort out of him, and particularly playing wing. I don't think he's going to have as much of a defensive identity quite yet, and depending on where the system goes for this team, he'll find it. But if he can be that skilled player that they need, there's a number of very skilled wingers that, you know, don't have that defensive ability yet but can contribute offensively, and that's what we need for this Bruins team, that extra layer.
Yeah, and you said he has a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he does, or you could look at it as opportunity, because even yesterday, Billy and Razor were talking about the fact that you know, he could really become a number 2 second line guy and in the NHL, and that is a big opportunity for him. You know what I mean? And so, like, of course it's weight, but there is internal competition, and like this is like, hey dude, this is a good chance to be able to do that for you in your resume. Take it. Casey, we're moving along quick, so maybe we'll talk about Mittelstadt another day a little bit more, maybe after we see him. But let's listen to Nikita Zadorov post-game, and we'll come back and talk about it.
What did you think about the team's ability to fight back in this one tonight?
Yeah, I mean, give the guys credit. They stick with it. You know, Mikey got us 2 big goals. You know, the first one was really good play on one of the best defensemen in the league. You know, stripped the puck from him, went absolutely undressed the goalie there. So second one, just a great shot. I think we didn't give up, obviously. We had a clear message after the second period that wasn't good enough for our standards, for the Bruins standards. So we kind of had to show up in the third and show it. You know, a lot of young guys work hard today. They're fighting for the roster spots, and I thought that was a good effort in the third.
How big was Korpisalo in keeping you guys in until you found the scoring?
Yeah, I mean, the game could have gone to the garbage real quick. You know, if you were to make those big saves, we give up way too many great A's from the slot today. I thought they were really hungry on the puck. I thought they were shot ready, shot first mentality. You know, they were crushing our net. And Korpis stayed big for us. You know, like get us a chance to back in the game.
Just wearing a letter, being a leader, particularly for the group tonight, how important is it for you to kind of lead them and keep the focus going into that third period?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to set the standards in here, how we want to play. So I thought like I said, after the second period, we talked in the room a lot. You know, it was a clear message, but it wasn't good enough, and you guys responded. You know, give them credit. It's nice when you can lead and the guys can respond and they can show up after that, for sure.
What are you thinking after you score the goal and immediately walk off the ice?
I just want to go home with my family.
You paired with Yoki Haru last year. What was it like to be back with him tonight?
Great. I mean, he's an unbelievable D-man. I thought we had a great chemistry from the day one last year. It was nice to get him back. You know, it's my second game, so I feel a little bit more comfortable. I feel like we had a really good third period. That's kind of what we want to play. We were getting quick to the pucks. We break out cleanly. We created some offensive zone. It's fun to play that way. So, I mean, I'm enjoying a lot to play with him for sure.
Marco's been talking a lot about systems and not wanting to drown guys with too much information. You feel like guys are absorbing it now, or is it going to take more than a couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, it's different for every guy. You know, some guys absorb information quicker, some guys not. I don't think there's many changes compared to last year. It's still, game of hockey is pretty simple. You know, if you have a head on your shoulder, you should be good in here. So I think it's just the reads. I think it's more chemistry. It's more like positioning-wise. I think it's coming out of the summer, especially such a long summer. We haven't played since April 15, so I think it takes time to adjust, to get your timings back, where you put your feet, where you put your stick. So I think it's going to take time, obviously. I thought our practices were really, really good past 5 days. You know, I'm enjoying Marco's practicing. It's a high pace. It's a high execution. It's pretty direct, and it's you don't need to think much. So I think if we're going to keep going like that for the next 10, 15 days, we're going to be really good.
You talked a lot about last year, your start being sort of fits and starts. This year, here you are, you're going to go for whatever the preseason means. Feel like you need traction early, want traction early to kind of get back in the
To
game.
score goals?
Not necessarily to score goals, but to feel really good about your game.
I felt really good about my game last year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys see it different from the
Nothing
top.
different from that, but early on you were saying it was taking a while to really feel like yourself.
Well, I mean, we had obviously it would take time to adjust. Like I said, some guys different. You know, it takes me longer. Plus, we had a coaching change and we didn't play good hockey, so it was hard. But then when I got settled, I thought I played well, pretty good at the end of the year. I just gotta keep going the same way this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Nikita Zadorov, always honest with the media. Where do you want to start? Do we want to talk about the walking off after he scored?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get to the walk off. What was your thought?
So, I mean, listen, I have two sides to it. I saw it as a bit of like a mic drop moment, but not that it deserved to be, because it's like preseason, it's a game-winning goal. It's like there's no mic drop there. It's not like Game 7 overtime winner, right? You know what I mean?
The theatrics didn't match the scene.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's kind of like I saw it in his body language, like the frustration. Like he had the first opportunity and then he like took the second one, and it was kind of like, oh my God, like we just can't. I felt like it was like I'm tired. It ended.
Yeah.
So nothing like too cocky or too messy, but I can just say he did come back. So we got to point out that he did come back on the ice to celebrate with his team. Had he not, I would have been really not okay with it.
Right.
Like really, really not okay with it, because that would never, ever happen under Chara, under Bergeron, under the Marchand era, where you are not celebrating with your team or even exiting with your team in a loss. Right. So it doesn't matter. So I would have been like, had I not seen him come back out, I would have been like, whoa, this is not it. But it was just kind of like, it looked like body language, like, I'm tired, I just scored, just get me out of here, like he said. But he came back. And so, you know, cute little moment, but you can't forget, you got to celebrate with your team. That's like the culture that we win together, we lose together. That's what Bruins have been preaching for a really long time. They lost a little bit of it last year. They're trying to get it back. And so everyone's got to be on board. I really don't want to make too big of a deal, because even Nikita might be like, oh my God, I was just skating off. Like, do we have to be talking about this? He came back. But I'm just saying, if he didn't, wouldn't have been cool.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I loved it.
Okay.
I was all in on it. I was like, this is the person. But again, we've talked about it here too. It's just kind of like, how does one navigate that kind of personality? And I have a soft side for Kurt, just like to the point personalities, and you saw where some of the frustration was building up for him throughout the entire game. And I think that there's kind of this internal battle where like you're trying to be a newfound leader for a new team who's trying to establish their identity under Marco Sturm, a new head coach, but also you're trying to make sure that you establish your game, but then you're also trying to speak to the players that you're playing alongside. And while him and Jokiharju had good chemistry towards the end of last year, you know, there was a number of mistakes in this game where you could just see like there was just some frustration. He talked about positioning. Well, sometimes when your counterpart is out of position, you've got extra layers of work to do out there, and it is a preseason game, but like these guys have so much on them as they're trying to let the world know, like, stop discounting us. So I feel like he takes that kind of stuff personal because he cares about the team, not because it's a him thing. So I just think in terms of like his personality, it was time for that game to be over with. There was a lot of frustration in terms of everything else going around. It was just like goal, walk off, and I was like, this fits him. This very much fits. And then like on a larger scope of things, we're talking about a league that's opening up an avenue for these guys to actually show their real personality more and not just stick to the Bible of hockey. So if we're going to continue to lean in that direction, that's what you get, a Zadorov walk-off.
I know, it's so interesting. Like, PK Subban was criticized a lot for his personality too, and like it like kind of not totally going with the team. And then, like you said, there's the flip side of like, we want to see more personality out of hockey players.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's like, which one do you want? I think the more time I spent around this Bruins team and the more time I understand like the success that came out of like really being one unit as opposed to a bunch of different personalities. Like Brad Marchand had a huge and has a huge personality, but I don't know. And I'm not comparing it to Zadorov right now. I'm just saying that I don't know.
It didn't take over from the team aspect of anything.
Yeah. It was like,
I don't think it'll get that way with Zadorov. And like, I know that something else that comes into call here is like, okay, what kind of leader can you be if like that, if your personal frustration guides you to make that decision at the end of a game? You said it, he came back, but we've also talked about the fact that like you kind of need different leadership styles. So like I still wouldn't take away the leadership capability from him, because sometimes a really good locker room, they have a villainous captain. Like, not saying that that's Zadorov, and I'm not labeling him quite yet, but I'm just saying like sometimes you just have somebody that has a complete different air about them, because you don't know when they're going to need that kind of light up, that kind of fuel during certain matchups. And so like some of the locker rooms that I've had a chance to cover, I've noticed that like the room listens to that guy when their back is against the wall.
And I'll say this thought and then we'll send it to break. If they're playing well.
Yes.
You can't be that guy and then and I'm not saying this about Zadorov either, I'm just saying in general, you can't be that guy that's like big, bad, and whatever, and attitude-y, and then not be playing well. So that's the number one thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Anyway, Kasey, we got to send it to break because we are talking too much. But we are going to be back. David Pastrnak, you guys probably heard, he's back with the team. Tendonitis seeming to be okay. We're going to talk about him joining the team and also his relationship with Matej Blumel and more right after this. So this is a repost. David Pastrnak reposted this. The Bruins posted it on their Instagram. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I've been following David for a while, Pasta, and he doesn't really post that much on IG, especially not from training camp or anything like that. Like, yes, it was his first day back. Maybe, now that I'm kind of saying it out loud, I may be making more of a bigger deal than it is, okay? But
I don't think you are.
I was like, you know what, I love this. I love seeing that he's excited to get back with the team. I think it just said a lot about, you know, the time he missed, and he was itching to get back. And it's just an Instagram story. But he reposted it, added some music too. I think it's just showing that he's like, I'm amped.
Yes.
And I like that.
But I like that you pointed out also, because just the fact that like there was some fear created around the situation. Pasta's not skating for the first couple of days. Like, I feel like it kind of gives you a little bit of an exhale. Like, he's ready to be back with the guys, and like he's able to skate, and like all is well. Like, you kind of need that all is well. And that's sometimes what social media on the good side is there for.
Yes, I agree. And he did address the media a couple times on, you know what, why don't we just hear from him? I was going to tell you guys what he said. Let's hear from David Pastrnak.
Felt all right, yeah. Good day on. You know, it's been a week off, so it's good to be out there with the boys and finally have a practice, you know, with some guys on the ice.
Was that something that had been bothering you throughout the?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I played with that the whole year last year, so I wouldn't be too worried about. Obviously, spent a lot of time in the summer to make it better, and it did get much better than it was last year, and Obviously, it wasn't perfect. It's not perfect yet, so it was perfect timing to try to get it even better than it already got better. So, like I said, nothing too concerning. It's just something that's nagging me for a very long time.
Is the tendonitis something you have to deal with, all season? Do you think? Or?
I don't know. Dealt with it whole year last year. How I said, spent a lot of time this summer to get it better, and it got better. And I guess just that's something that time will tell.
Okay, so on one side, it's like this. It's great that not great that he was dealing with it last year, but it's not like a new thing that we're like, oh no, what's going to happen? He was dealing with it all of last year and had a great year, played through it, and played really well. So that's good. But then now that we know what's going on, he missed some time in camp. It's like, could this get worse? I did look up a little bit on Google, which you can't really trust medical advice, but rest is the best thing. So you had it before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's something that can just get inflamed very easily, and then when the inflammation happens, it almost feels like your tendons are like pulling away from one another. So it's a very irritating feeling. You can almost feel like this like weird pain whenever you put pressure on it or whenever you step on your foot. Like if it's on his knee, he could probably feel it while he's walking. So like that's why rest to maintain the inflammation is the best thing.
Okay, and they're not going to have that much rest. It's a condensed schedule, same amount of games, but condensed because of the long Olympic break. So October is going to be a little crazy. I guess we'll just keep monitoring that, but there's no need to like freak out about it now.
Yeah.
He's back with the team. I think he's going to dress on Saturday. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm assuming he's going to dress on Saturday or one of.
I would assume at one point.
Yeah, one of the coming games. 4 left. All right, David Pastrnak also with a little bit of experience with Matej Blumel, one of the prospects that we're hoping gets some good NHL time and get some points up on the board, and he's hoping that as well. He said with his agent, that this place, the Boston Bruins, the reason they signed here, Pasta Zaka maybe a little bit, but mostly because he felt like this would be the best chance for him to crack an NHL roster consistently. Let's hear from the two of them.
I met him a couple times now. Actually, he showed me a picture we met when he was a little bit younger. And then obviously had the pleasure to play with him at the World Championship in Finland, where we finished third. Not the Rabidov, but bronze is bronze. It was a big medal for us. So there, we had this tournament together, and he already there. That was 3 years ago. I think he was a big part of that group and played first line. So he was a very, very good player, and he's a very good human being, and he wants to learn. He comes every day with the questions, and he knows he's able to ask me anything, and I try to help him out. Talk a little bit about the game yesterday. So it's great that we have him here, and this is the way I was treated here when I got here when I was young, by the older guys and by the countrymen. So just kind of trying to do the same.
Yeah, for me, it's special to see a player like him on the ice, and we were actually practicing power plays today, and he's playing on the same side as I am so far, and yeah, like when I have a chance to watch him, I always do, and it's a pleasure for me to share the ice with him.
All right, so they have a little bit of experience together, and hopefully that translates to not just with them, but like chemistry just for Matej Blumel. Any thoughts on what you saw out of him in the first couple games? Because he had back-to-back games as well. Yeah. He was noticeable to me.
Yes, I would agree. I think he was very noticeable. Well,
that helps.
And then to see some dust shaken off of most of these players that went from preseason game 1 to preseason game 2. But what I liked about his energy last night in particular was the relentlessness that we talked about, but more so like he was really good at making sure that he found space. And I would say that the Rangers defense did a good job at kind of taking away a lot of space, taking away the middle of the ice from the Bruins majority of the game, especially in that second period. So just to see him consistently kind of displaying a hockey IQ that has been talked about, that gives you something to be excited about. And like to know that he feels like there's an ability to crack that consistency code here, I feel like last night kind of shows you he's going to be somebody who can probably play off of a number of guys. But if you put him next to a passer, I'm using Mittelstadt as an example, but if you put him next to a keen passer, like this is a guy who can put up those numbers and translate well into the NHL if you don't have a huge defensive responsibility on his shoulders.
Yeah, and what I noticed in the couple games that he played, like just confident. I think it was with the extra man that they with the goalie pulled, that they almost coughed up the puck at the blue line, and he I think that was him. I can't remember, but I think it was him where he recovered.
He's pretty good with cleanup, yeah.
Yeah, and he very, very confident from
Yeah.
what I see so far in the room. As someone who just carries himself, he's a confident guy. That doesn't always translate to on the ice. And the thing is, it's difficult. It's just like if you and I are auditioning and you got 2 shows and then it's going to make or break your career. You know what I mean? And then it's like, you're probably overthinking what you're saying to me.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. So it's like, he knows that they're watching him.
You already know I'm an overthinker, so
You are a
hands
overthinker.
down. Yeah, big time hands down.
But yeah, like, so that being said, like, just knowing that he knows everyone's watching him right now and this is make or break for him, not forever.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't make the roster, something Razor, Billy and I were talking about last night, the bottom 6, maybe even 9, like, they're going to be, many guys are going to be game to game.
Yes.
Like how you're playing. Are you healthy scratch? Are you getting sent back down? Is someone coming back up? So not forever. But anyway, eyes are on him. And my point is he looks pretty confident. I think he's got like a bit of swag.
Yeah, and what I love about you even mentioning that is the fact that like sometimes when you have that kind of like potential nervousness to you, or like, you know, you're so focused on breaking this roster, you can get too cute with things sometimes. And like for him to have that scoring ability, he didn't try to do too much, and I really actually appreciated that about him. But for the competition for the bottom 9 to say like, you're looking at a team that I think they're going to take things opponent by opponent. So we can see a number of guys kind of rotate out at the second line if it becomes better. But Sturm talked about the fact that like he's going to rely heavily on his third and fourth line, and like they're not going to be the low minute guys either. So their conditioning and their capability, their skill set, it's all going to have to be there. So like Brick and I talked about it when you guys were on the ground for media day. It's like you almost don't want to say bottom 6 anymore, because everybody is going to have a tall task, and like they're going to have to contribute across all 4 lines. So that's where I feel like Blumel can also sneak in. And then I'm trying to remember who mentioned kind of like getting the slot pass, Zadorov, how like the Rangers were working so well, getting shots off in the slot. Like that's something else that's supposed to be true to Blumel's DNA. And you saw kind of like wayward moments where the Bruins were able to find a slot and get a shot off, Mitten being one of the guys that were able to do that. But he was able to be one of the few to actually find like some space in the slot as well.
I know, I'm excited to see more of Matej Blumel. You weren't with us. It was Judd and I on Monday. But he is living with Pavel Zacha for now. I don't know if that's going to be permanent, but for now. And that's like nice. Your countryman, someone to show you the ropes, the team. He does the dishes, apparently. Pavel Zacha likes that. Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. I like that.
And Blumel said that Boston is very similar to European streets, so he likes that too.
I would definitely say Boston and Montreal are the 2 places in, although I haven't been everywhere, but where you can say there's a little bit of a European flair. It's really not that close to Europe in terms of vibe. But if you're going to be...
some of the look.
Yeah. Like even, I was in the North End yesterday, even walking around there, obviously Back Bay, Beacon Hill, just tiny little cobblestone streets for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Coffee size is way bigger. There's a lot of other things that are not like Europe, but the streets are okay. All right, let's send it to break, guys. We are going to dive in on Michael DiPietro, one of your goaltenders in the Bruins system and roster, and you're going to get to learn how he kind of got into goaltending. It's a very cute story. We'll be back. Lost my Hockey Hub t-shirt.
You did?
I mean, it's somewhere. I just don't know where it is, okay?
The amount of times that we've hopped on and been like, we could and should be wearing our shirt.
We're going to wear it.
Yeah.
I'm going to find it, or maybe I can just buy one at NessonWickedWearables.com. So you guys can grab a Hockey Hub t-shirt or hoodie. You can check out our whole lineup. It's brought to you in partnership with Breaking Tea, Wicked Wearables at NessonWickedWearables.com. I do really like it. I just lost it. I gotta find it. I lose a lot of things, Casey, including my mind. Okay, welcome back. We are talking goaltending, and specifically Michael DiPietro, who's been in the Bruins system for 3 years now, and is the next, or like, you know, we have the tandem of Swayman and Korpisalo, but he's not far behind in terms of at least discussion. We're getting better looks at him. I want to talk about him. He has a really good story. Razor gives us his 2 cents, so let's hear from Razor, and then we will have our discussion about him.
Mikey DiPietro had an unbelievable season last year in the AHL, winning goalie of the year in the minors for the Providence Bruins, which allowed him to sign a 2-year contract with the Boston Bruins. He's a fantastic third goaltender for this organization, a true pro, really well liked by everybody throughout the entire organization. Gave up 5 goals in half a game in the first preseason. It was a little chaotic in front of him. Not a lot he could do on that. He's going to continue to work through camp. I don't expect him to be on this roster out of training camp, but with the Olympic schedule, with it being condensed as it is, he is certainly one hip flexor injury away from being a big part of this team at the National Hockey League level. He's going to go, he's going to compete, and he's going to have that professional mindset for the entire season, and that's, again, why the Bruins signed him to the 2-year contract. So when it comes to the Bruins at the National Hockey League level and what their goaltending look like, so the question for me is how many starts Jeremy Swayman's getting, how many starts Jonas Korpisalo is going to get, and I think that is a work in progress. There is by no means a program set in place or a month-by-month setup of how many games and who's playing where. I think this is going to be very much based on Marco Sturm, goalie Bob Essenza, determining who's playing the best and who gives the Boston Bruins the best chance to win on any given night. So that's going to be very fluid. That's going to be very interesting. I think both goaltenders are, especially Jeremy Swayman, are looking to bounce back, and Korpisalo is looking to build on his first year here in Boston.
Yeah, a lot of great points to take away from that, Casey. What he said at the end there, but I want to address the beginning. I didn't really think about that. I was like, this is the first game of the preseason for the Boston Bruins. We know between games 1 and 6 and even between the first 20, they're going to be working through things in the regular season. So game 1, you get Michael DiPietro, who's also trying to prove himself, also being like, hey, I'm ready for the NHL. And he gave up 5 goals, right?
Yeah.
5, yeah. And no, that sucks. Like, I just thought about it. Like, the whole team was just figuring it out for the first time. I get that that's a coaching decision, and I'm sure the coaches were like, okay, let's give him another look at some point. But I was like, that's a tough position to be in, because you're trying to prove yourself, and it's your first, time on the ice, but everyone in front of you is just trying to figure it out. Whereas like a Swayman or a Korpisalo, maybe you would write that off if that happened. Be like, we've had a bigger sample size with them, so this is not a them thing. So that was a tough position to be in.
Yeah, that's actually something that I didn't even think about either. When the reality of it is like he's being judged so harshly, but like there's a lot of mess going on in front of him, and like we've talked about the fact of like depending on what's happening in front of you defensively, like you can only clean up so much. So I also like the fact that Razor pointed that out, because it's just like the requirement and like what goalies do. You need to give them so much more respect on like how hard of a task that is, and just to think about kind of like the messiness of that preseason game 1, a lot of sloppy passes, a lot of things just kind of getting behind this group. He had to do a lot more work than one would have to do. So.
Yeah, and I anticipate we're going to see him again. Maybe he's going to share the net with Sway in another game or start or whatever, but I think we'll see him again.
Yeah, and then in terms of his reputation, I mean, think of some of the off-season chatter, right? When there was, again, rumor mill, this is nothing from internal, but like when there was the possibility of him being traded and there being value attached to his name, that just tells you kind of the light that he is being held in and the skill set that he is being held in. So like, I wouldn't even dismiss him off of preseason game 1. I think that he has a way to compete, but like Razor said, I don't think they'll make like, the opening roster and stuff quite yet.
Yeah, and then he talked about the condensed schedule again and wear and tear on goaltenders, that like it's very plausible or reasonable to maybe have him come up and play a couple of NHL games if Swayman's having a tough stretch, if Korpisalo's having a tough stretch. I think if those two are playing well, please don't mess with it. Like, do not mess with it, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
not this year.
Not this year. Lots to happen before we can make that decision. So really quick, I'm going to give you a bit of background. First of all, he's so lovely to talk to. He's such a nice, as I said to Razor and Billy yesterday, a very nice young man. Just a gentleman, very kind and nice person to be around, easygoing. I really value those things.
Yes.
So I've had a really nice time getting to know him. For Bruins Media Day, you guys are going to be seeing it all over social media, but we ask each Bruin to give us their life in 60 seconds. And so they kind of got to go through their life in 60 seconds. And he's glossed over the story. And then I wanted to pick his brain a little more. But his mom passed away when he was really young, which was obviously very sad for him and his dad. But then his dad started dating. They were just dating at the time. But now his stepmom and his stepbrother are one big family. But his stepmom at the time had a son that was older than Michael, and they were all going to their house leagues games, as you do as kids. And he said he saw his brother make this glove save. I think he's 6 years older. I'll have to double check those facts, but he's older than him. Michael was just kind of getting into hockey, and he was not a goaltender. He was just playing whatever position, right? And he sees him make this like crazy glove save, and he's like, I want to do that. And I think he tells us in this interview, so I don't want to take away from that, but he tells his dad, and his dad's like, no, I don't want you to be a goaltender. It's so stressful. But that's kind of how he got into it. He never looked back. I'm afraid I'm kind of giving it away. So let's hear from him on that story, and then he kind of talks about his mindset and everything right now. So you did with the Nesson crew like a life in 60 seconds, and you only had 60 seconds to go over your life, but you really highlighted your family and how you got into goaltending. So I just kind of wanted to dive a little deeper into that story.
Sure.
Your stepmom and her son. Her son was a goaltender.
Yes.
How much older was he than you?
He was 6 years older at the time. My parents were just dating, and I just saw him make a save on a breakaway in a house league game he played at 80 Knox in Windsor. And at the time, I was just a little pudgy defenseman back in Amherstburg, and I remember him making a save, and I mean, there was like 4 people in the stands at a house league game. So, but I just loved how a goalie could be a difference maker. And I just turned to my dad and asked him if I could try. Dad's face turned like pale white. He goes, "Oh my God, here we go again." But yeah, I made the switch that summer.
Wow. And then so you fell in love with it right away, or is it something you worked through falling in love with as a kid?
No, I think as soon as I threw the pads on, I loved it. I still remember the first time I actually wore a pair of goalie skates. I fell right on my face. Like, I just didn't know they were so different from player skates. And, you know, I remember my dad buying, like, goaltending for dummies, like the handbook, the black and yellow book, and just kind of him and I kind of learning it together. And, yeah, it was just something that him and I did. And my brother helped along the way, kind of showed me the ropes, and just kind of took off from there. So something that bonded us as we got older.
Does your brother still play?
He played up until last year. Last year was his last year in beer league in Nashville, so he lives down there, and he hung him up. I don't think his hips could take it anymore. So yeah, he kept showing up for work a little sore in the morning. So I think that was the time when his wife said, "I think enough's enough," and yeah, I think he'll start planning out, but yeah, I think goaltending's done for him.
And so what about for you? When did this become a realistic, like, holy moly, I could make this into a career? When did that kind of hit you?
I don't know. I think going into grade 8, I think I just kind of took it a little bit more seriously. Kind of stopped playing other sports I was interested in, just kind of started narrowing my focus down to hockey. But I just kind of took it in stride. I didn't really know what to make of it, and it seemed like every year just a new opportunity was able to pop up, and I was super fortunate for that. And then just kind of one thing led to another, and I feel like I'm still trying to figure my way through the pro ranks, obviously, but it's definitely a roller coaster ride, and very thankful for everything that hockey's kind of given me, and it showed me the world. So yeah, obviously everybody has dreams and goals they want to accomplish, but I'm very lucky that hockey's been able to take me places.
And what about your time in Providence? You have Ryan Muginel as a coach, who's wonderful, and also just the New England sports fans and New England hockey fans. They're just so intense. What's your experience been like playing here?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Ever since being traded, I think I found the love of the game again. Found my game again, I think, as a goaltender, and every year just kind of gotten better. And I think I'm a big proponent of just being where my feet are. And I think in pro, guys have a tendency to kind of look at where they're not instead of just appreciating where they are. And, you know, just appreciating my time in Providence or wherever I am has really just allowed me just to enjoy the game more. And obviously you look around, and New England has such a deep sports history in every Big Four category of sports. So, you know, just being a part of it and just kind of soaking in each experience, and hopefully putting a good foot forward here has been my goal and my priority from day one.
I love that. I love your attitude about that. I don't want to get too philosophical, but it's so true. We can always be thinking about what's next as opposed to where we are. So I appreciate that. Do you do any meditation, any yoga? Like, I'm thinking yoga for staying flexible as a goaltender, but just like, also, we talked about this, the presence that a goaltender needs, the focus. What is your off-ice routines like to get you into your best mental and physical shape?
I'm a big proponent of mental health. I talk to a sports psychologist, Dr. Bob, once a week, just kind of airing out every crazy goalie superstition or crazy thought that enters my head, and it allows me just to kind of block out all those negative thoughts or all those crazy thoughts that I think we sometimes rationalize that making sense. But then when you say it out loud, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, and it kind of takes its power away. So I think I'm a big proponent of mental health. Yoga, I mean, I'm not one for the zen and like calm, but obviously stretching and strengthening is a big proponent of staying healthy. So big proponent of that. But yeah, just staying grounded, just having a good work-life balance. I think like everybody, and my family certainly helps me with that. And when my dog's in town, he definitely keeps me busy. So yeah, all these things just generate to obviously just being happy and waking up every morning doing what you love to do.
Awesome. And promise, last one. You mentioned your family. Your brother's in Nashville. Your fiance's here with you.
No, she's back in Windsor. She flies back and forth, and then she'll move out permanently when we're married. So she flies back and forth, racking up the air miles. The puppy's back home up until we're married. So hopefully next year everything's back to normal, family's back together. But yeah, just back and forth right now. But they're back home in Amherstburg.
Okay. Well, I know that's a grind. That's what people don't see the other side. That like being an athlete is a grind. You gotta sacrifice family things and all that. So I wish you the best of luck on the journey, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Oh, lovely little, not little, young man. I was going to say lovely little man, lovely young man. And, you know, we can talk later, depending on how preseason goes, about how he's going to be fit in to the NHL roster, if at all.
Yeah, and like you said, a really great personality. I love those answers. I love that he meets with a sports psychologist, because that is so hard, especially for goalies. Like, I could never play goalie in any sport, ever. I just, like, when I get emotional, I have to transfer that energy somewhere, whereas, like, goalies have to make sure they continue to temper like their emotions and everything. So big on him.
Yeah, and just really quick, we were looking at his NHL resume. So he's got 3 games, but just 1 a year with Vancouver. So 1 each year. That's also so hard. Like you get 1 and then you're like, bye, and then you get another 1, bye. It's tough. Like I think you need 4, 5, 6, 7 games together, maybe not back to back, just to like, you know,
really feel
into
that
it.
pace.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is. That's the business, guys. We got to go to break. We will be right back to wrap up the show. We'll give you the remainder of the preseason games for the Bruins right after this. Welcome back, guys. We are wrapping up the show, but wanted to remind you about the remaining preseason schedule. So Saturday, a bit of a weird start, 5 p.m., but I like it. It gets me out earlier. That's on NESN Plus. And then we wrap up this one at the Garden with a little bit of back-to-back at 7. The rest of the games are going to be on NESN. And then October 4th, that's the last one until we get October 8th, Casey. The season opener and the home opener is going to be the next day on NESN. All right, we got to go. We'll see you Monday.